Listen closely because what I'm about to say isn't just for the faint-hearted. This is a wake-up call, a moment you've been waiting for, whether you know it or not. You've been living in the shadows of your own life, like a ghost in your own story, letting the world tell you who you are, what you're worth, what you deserve. But today I'm telling you this: you've been lied to. Every doubt you've carried, every scar you've tried to hide, they're all part of the greatest lie ever told. The Holish given tone, that you're powerless, that you're nothing, that you don't deserve to sit on the throne of your own life. But here's the thing, you're not just anyone. The universe doesn't create mistakes, and it didn't make you to be a bystander. You are the hero of your own story, the one everyone overlooked, the one everyone underestimated, the one they thought was too weak, too broken, too small, but they couldn't have been more wrong. They couldn't see what was hidden beneath the surface, the strength, the fire, the rage that's been simmering inside of you, waiting for the moment to ignite. They tried to crush you, to force you into the dirt. They thought you'd crumble, that you'd be silenced, that you'd fade away into nothingness. But what they didn't understand is that it's in the darkest places that the brightest flames are born. You were never meant to stay small. You were meant to rise, to take your place, to wear your crown. And while they wasted their time thinking you were a threat only in whispers, you were quietly becoming something they could never imagine. Someone who would not just survive, but take the throne. I know what you're thinking, but I've failed. I've been knocked down. How can I rise from this? Let me tell you this: failure is not a death sentence. It's the fuel you've been waiting for, the thing that ignites the fire you didn't even know you had inside. You've been walking around like you're broken, like you're lost, like the world's weight is too much for you to bear, but all it takes is a single moment. Just one breath, one step, one decision to look around and see the truth. This is your story, not theirs, not anyone else's. Your story. And right now, this moment, this is where it begins. So stop for a second. Close your eyes and hear me. This isn't a lecture. It's not a lesson. It's a call to arms. I'm not here to tell you that life is easy, that nothing will stand in your way. But I am here to tell you this: the war you've been fighting, the battles you've lost, they don't define you. What defines you is what you do next. This moment. The moment you decide to rise, to claim your place, to take what was always yours, is where the world begins to take notice. And trust me, they will notice. Because they thought you were defeated. They thought you'd stay down. But when you stand up, when you embrace your power, when you show the world who you really are, you'll watch as they scramble to understand the force that's just awakened in you. You didn't fail. You were being prepared. All the pain, all the heartache, it was never meant to break you. It was meant to make you strong enough to take what belongs to you. You've been on the sidelines for too long. It's time for you to step forward. Your throne is waiting. And if you can hear me, if you can feel that fire building inside of you, then you know it's time. It's your turn to reign. Your time has come. I see you. You who've been walking through life with your head down, pretending that it's all okay, hiding the cracks that run deep inside. You're tired, aren't you? Tired of pretending, tired of carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders as if it's something you were meant to endure in silence. The days drag on, one indistinguishable from the next, like a heavy fog that never clears. Just you look at the mirror and don't even recognize the face staring back at you. It's not who you thought you'd be. This wasn't the life you imagined, not the person you dreamed you could become. You've been told your whole life what you're supposed to do, who you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to go. They told you that success looked a certain way, that happiness was a destination, that there were paths laid out just for you. Paths that you're meant to follow, that you'd be judged if you didn't. Society placed you in a box, handed you a set of rules and forced you to fit inside. But no one ever stopped to ask if that box was really yours to begin with. No one ever asked if that road was the one you wanted to walk. No one told you that it's okay to not follow the blueprint, to step off the path, to break free from the mold they tried to shove you into. It's no wonder you feel lost. How could you not? The weight of other people's expectations, the pressure to meet arbitrary standards. It's a weight that no one can carry forever. It starts small, just a whisper, you're not good enough. You need to be more. You'll never get there. Over time, that whisper grows louder until it becomes a shout, drowning out your own voice, your own desires. And eventually, that voice becomes your own. You start believing the lies they've told you. You start believing that your worth is tied to their approval. You start to think that maybe, just maybe, they're right. You start to think that maybe you are too weak. Maybe you'll never be enough. But here's the truth. They were never right. The world, with all its expectations, all its judgments, was never meant to define you. Yet you've been fighting that battle every single day. Against the people who told you that your dreams were too big. Against the inner demons that convinced you your failures were permanent. Against the society that shoved you aside as if you were nothing more than another number. They've kept you in line, kept you in check, told you that if you didn't fit the mold, you didn't belong. They made you believe that there was a place you had to be, a ladder you had to climb, and if you didn't make it there, then you were worthless. But here's the thing, they've been wrong from the start. You've been carrying the weight of these lies for too long. They've shaped how you see yourself, how you define your worth, how you measure success. You've let the world tell you that you're nothing, that you're insignificant, that you don't have the right to stand tall. They've created this world where if you're not constantly moving forward, constantly achieving, constantly doing more, then you're falling behind. But what if I told you that falling behind isn't failure? What if I told you that the pain, the struggle, the darkness you feel, it's not the end of your story, it's not your punishment, it's the moment that everything changes. You've been running on empty, haven't you? Trying to keep up with their pace, pretending that you're fine, even though inside you're screaming for something different. The fear of not being enough has worn you down, and you've started to believe it. But you don't have to live this way anymore. The weight, the burden, the expectations, they don't define you unless you let them. And right now, I'm here to tell you something important. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not a failure. You've been carrying around all of their judgments, all of their doubts, all of their labels, but none of it is yours to carry. You've been letting them control you, and now it's time to take back the power. Who are you? I need to tell you that you're amazing, and you've been letting them control you, and now it's time to take back the power. Those who have doubted you, those who have pushed you to the side, those who have told you that you couldn't make it, that's where the battle is. They're the ones who tried to crush your spirit, to make you feel like you were less than, like you didn't belong. But what they didn't know is that there's something inside you that doesn't break. Something that can't be shattered by their words, by their judgments, by their expectations. You've felt it, that moment of frustration when you realize that the life you've been chasing doesn't belong to you, that the path you've been following wasn't the one you were meant to walk. That's the moment of awakening. The moment you start to see that what they've been telling you was a lie, and it hurts. It hurts to realize that all these years, you've been following a dream that wasn't yours. You've been carrying burdens that weren't meant for you. You've been playing a role that you didn't sign up for. But now you're waking up. You're starting to see through the fog, through the lies, through the weight of their expectations. And it's time. It's time for you to step out of the shadow of their judgments and walk into the light of your own truth. It looks like an effort, the truth that you are more than they ever told you you were, the truth that you are not defined by your failures, by their standards, by their doubts. You are defined by the strength within you that has survived every battle, every setback, every painful moment. And now it's time for you to use that strength to rise, to stand tall, to take what is yours. This is not the end of your story, this is where it begins. You feel it, don't you? The suffocating weight of hopelessness that wraps around your chest like a vice tightening with every passing day. The crushing feeling that no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you're stuck. You've tried, haven't you? You've tried to break free from the chains that hold you back, to push past the pain, to rise above it all. But every time you take a step forward, something pulls you back, harder than before, until you feel like you're drowning in a sea of your own failure. It's a feeling you can't shake, this sense that you've hit the bottom, that there's nowhere left to go. The dreams you once held so tightly in your heart are fading, slipping through your fingers like sand. The people who said you'd never make it, who laughed when you tried, are proving to be right. They were right, weren't they? All the doubts, all the fears, they're starting to feel real. You start to question everything you believed about yourself, and it's the most painful thing you've ever experienced. You're tired of fighting. You're tired of pushing against a world that feels like it's working against you at every turn. You're tired of pretending that everything's fine, that you're okay, when deep down, all you feel is the weight of failure pressing down on you. Every day is a struggle, and every victory, no matter how small, feels like it's never enough. The world moves forward while you're stuck in place, drowning in the noise of your own frustration, your own anger. The voice inside your head tells you that you're not good enough, that you'll never be enough. It's a lie that has been whispered so many times that it's hard to tell where the truth ends and the lie begins. But you hear it every single day. And then there's the resentment. The bitter taste in your mouth every time you look at someone who seems to have it all figured out, who seems to be winning while you're stuck in this endless loop of disappointment. You see them, living the life you always wanted, achieving what you thought was possible for you, and the anger bubbles up, hot and raw. Why them and not you? What did they do that you couldn't? What makes them so special, so worthy of success, when all you've ever done is struggle and fail and hurt? But here's the truth, the thing they don't want you to see. They haven't won anything that you can't have for yourself. They're just like you, except they've been willing to do one thing that you haven't. Keep going. They didn't stop. They didn't quit when the road got rough. They didn't let their anger, their resentment, or their fear define them. They chose to rise, and that's the choice you need to make too. It's easy to stay stuck in this place. It's easier to sink into despair, to embrace the victimhood that promises you comfort. Because when you let the pain control you, when you let the failure define you, you don't have to risk anything. You don't have to try again. You don't have to fight. You can just stay here in the dark and pretend that it's the only way it's ever going to be. But that's a lie. And deep down you know it. The longer you stay in this place, the more it suffocates you. The more it steals from you. Your energy, your joy, your spirit, the person you were meant to become. It starts slipping away piece by piece until you look in the mirror and don't even recognize the person staring back at you. You might feel like you're trapped in this endless cycle of hopelessness, like there's no way out, no way to break free from the chains that bind you. But I'm here to tell you this. This moment doesn't have to be the end. It can be the turning point. The moment you stop believing the lies. The moment you choose to stop being the victim of your own story. The moment you decide to take back control. This pain you feel, it's not permanent. It's not who you are. It's a chapter in your story, but it's not the whole story. You've been drowning in the weight of failure, of rejection, of disappointment, but this moment can be the moment you throw off those chains. You've been carrying around resentment and bitterness, but that anger can be your fuel. All the rage you feel, all the frustration can be the fire that ignites your next step. You don't have to stay stuck here in the depths of despair. You don't have to be defined by the mistakes you've made or the struggles you've faced. Say the people you love the most, and I know it's hard. I know it feels impossible to believe that things can change when all you've known is disappointment. But let me ask you this. What if you're just one decision away from your breakthrough? What if you're closer than you think to the change you've been begging for? You've been in this darkness long enough. The anger, the resentment, the bitterness, it's all valid. But it's time to turn that pain into something that will light your path forward. It's time to stop being the victim of your story and start being the hero. The moment you stop feeling sorry for yourself and start taking action, that's when things change. It's time to break free, to stand up, to rise, and to take back everything that was stolen from you. In this moment of despair, it's not the end, it's the beginning of something greater. It's time for you to hear this truth loud and clear. You are not broken, you are not a victim. You are not the sum of your failures or your pain. You are the living proof of resilience. The fire that has been burning inside of you, even when you didn't see it, has been waiting for the moment to ignite, and that moment is now. Look at your scars, those marks that tell the story of everything you've been through. They're not weaknesses, they are the evidence of your survival. Every wound, every tear, every battle you've fought has shaped you, forged you into something stronger, something more powerful than you can even comprehend. Your pain didn't destroy you, it transformed you. It's not the end of your story, it's the beginning of the rise of your power. You've been looking at yourself through the lens of what others have said about you, through the lens of all the failures and the mistakes. But that's not your true reflection. You've been standing in front of a mirror that shows you only the pieces of you that you've been told to hate. But now, it's time to shatter that mirror. Step away from the image they gave you and see yourself for who you really are. What you've been through, what you've endured, it wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to teach you, to refine you, to turn you into a force that cannot be ignored. Every struggle you've faced has been the fire shaping you into something unbreakable. They thought they could destroy you. They thought they could bury you. But what they didn't understand is that there's something magical about what rises from the ashes. You are that phoenix, ready to soar, ready to take flight on the wings of your own strength. Your fire has always been there, burning beneath the surface. And now it's time for it to blaze. You're not a product of your circumstances. You are the product of your choices. You have the power to change the course of your life, to rewrite your story, to break free from the chains of the past and claim the future that is yours. The only thing standing in your way is the belief that you cannot. Your life matters and your story matters. Believing me, brothers. Our hope together is greater. I would like to say that even the greatest, darkest, and hideous events have a purpose, and that belief, it's a lie. It's time to stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as the architect of your own destiny. The power has always been inside of you, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be unleashed. You are not powerless. You are a force of nature, capable of shifting the very world around you. All it takes is the decision to rise, the decision to embrace your power, and the decision to take action. Think about the world that surrounds you. Think about all those who told you that you couldn't, that you wouldn't, that you were too broken to make it. They told you that you didn't belong, that you weren't enough, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still fighting. They wanted you to stay down, to stay silent, to fade into the background. But instead, you've been quietly building. You've been quietly growing. They couldn't see it, couldn't hear it, but your strength has been growing louder and louder with each passing day. And now, it's time for them to hear you. It's time for them to see what you've become. They wanted to crush your spirit, to make you believe that you were less than, that you were insignificant. And now, you wanted to finally forgive themselves and accede to their wishes, and you wanted to forgive them again. But you've been preparing for this moment. Every mistake, every failure, every setback, it was part of your training. It was part of your evolution. And now, you're ready. Ready to stand up and claim your place in the world. You've spent too long listening to the voices that told you what you couldn't do. It's time to stop letting them define you. It's time to silence the doubt, the fear, It's time to turn those voices into fuel. Every negative word, every judgment, every doubt, use it to propel yourself forward. Let it be the fire that pushes you toward greatness. You are not defined by the people who tried to put you down. You are not defined by your mistakes, your failures, or your pain. You are defined by your strength, your resilience, and your ability to rise. It's time for you to see what's inside of you. It's time for you to stop holding back, to stop playing small. You are capable of so much more than you've allowed yourself to believe. The villains, the ones who doubted you, who judged you, who tried to bury you, they were never your problem. They were just a distraction. The real villain has always been the doubt within yourself, the fear that you couldn't do it, the belief that you weren't worthy. But you're not that person anymore. You are stronger. You are bolder. You are the one who gets to define who you are, what you do, and how far you go. And right now, it's time to stop doubting yourself. It's time to stand tall, to embrace your power, and to take control of your destiny. There is no limit to what you can achieve when you stop letting fear, doubt, and the expectations of others control you. This is your life. You are the hero of your own story, and it's time for you to rise to the occasion. It's time to step into your power, to embrace the strength that's been building within you, to let go of the past and start creating the future you deserve. You've always had it in you. It's time for you to see it. It's time for you to live it. The power is yours. Now it's time to use it. The moment you've been waiting for is here. You've felt it building inside you like a storm on the horizon. This unshakable truth that has been waiting to be acknowledged, to be understood, to finally break through. It's time for you to see what you've always had, what you've always been capable of. You've been searching for it outside yourself, looking for someone, something to save you, to tell you that it's okay, that it's possible, that you are worthy. But what you've failed to realize, what you've overlooked in your desperation, is that the very thing you've been looking for has always been inside of you. You are the one who holds the key to your own freedom. Think about it for a moment. All this time, all this pain, all this struggle, it was never about what you couldn't do. It was about what you didn't believe you could do. You've been living in a cage that you built yourself, a cage made of your doubts, your fears, your insecurities. You've been held hostage by the very thoughts that tell you that you're not enough, that you can't, that it's too late, that you don't deserve it. But I'm here to tell you something that you already know deep down. The door to that cage was never even closed. You just had to realize that you've always had the key in your hand. Let me ask you, how many times have you stood at the edge of the abyss looking down into the dark thinking that you couldn't possibly make it through? How many times have you stared at your dreams, at the life you want, only to convince yourself that it's out of reach? How many times have you looked at the people who have what you want and told yourself that they're special, that they're different, that they have something you don't? But what if they're not? What if they're just like you? What if the only difference between them and you is that they believed in their power to change, to create, to rise? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you've always dreamed of is your willingness to believe that you can? It's time to stop asking for permission. It's time to stop waiting for someone to come along and tell you that you're worthy. You've been waiting for a sign, a miracle, a breakthrough, when all along the sign was inside you. The miracle is in your heart. The breakthrough is in. The power was never somewhere else. It was always right here, within you. You've always been the hero of your own story. You've just been waiting for the moment when you would see it. Now, here's the thing. This is the moment where you decide who you are. This is the turning point. You can stay where you are, buried under the weight of all the doubt and the fear and the expectations of others. You can keep telling yourself that you're not enough, that it's too hard, that you can't change. Or you can stand up. You can stand tall. You can look at yourself in the mirror and see the power that's been there all along. You can choose to believe in your own strength. You can choose to step into the life that's waiting for you, the life that you deserve. This isn't just some motivational speech. This isn't some empty pep talk. This is the truth that you've always known deep inside of you, the truth that you've been afraid to accept. You are the one who controls your fate, no one else. Not the people who doubted you, not the voices that tried to silence you, not the world that told you you were too small, too weak, too broken. You are the one who holds the power. You've always had it, you just had to see it. So, what are you going to do now? Are you going to stay in the darkness, in the prison of your own doubts, or are you going to step into the light, into your greatness, into the life that's waiting for you? Are you going to keep playing small, letting fear and insecurity dictate your actions? Or are you going to rise, to step into your power, to take what's been rightfully yours all along? You've been waiting for this moment, you've been hoping for this moment, and now that it's here, now that you see the truth, what will you do with it? The choice is yours, the power is yours, the future is yours. This is your turning point. This is the moment where everything changes. You've been down for too long, you've been broken for too long, but no more. Stand up, own your strength. Zap, embrace the power that has always been inside of you. The time to rise is now. The time to take control is now. And when you do, when you finally see what you're capable of, when you step into the person you were always meant to be, the world won't know what hit it. Because you, the one they tried to bury, the one they tried to break, you will rise. You will take your place and you will show them who you are. This is your moment. This is your time. And you are unstoppable. The time for waiting is over. The time for wondering if you're good enough, if you're capable enough, if you deserve to rise, that time is gone. The truth is undeniable now, and you know it deep in your soul. It's time to take charge. No more excuses, no more delays, no more holding back. The only thing standing between you and the life you deserve is the decision to act, to rise, to take what is yours. So, I'm asking you right now, are you ready? Are you ready to step into the person you were always meant to be? Are you ready to take control of your life, to stop waiting for permission, to stop relying on anyone else to define your worth? This is the moment when everything changes. This is the moment you stop looking back, stop feeling sorry for yourself, and start acting as the person you were born to be. No more hesitation, no more fear, no more doubts. You've spent enough time in the shadows, but now it's time for you to step into the light, to claim your place in the world. You've been through hell, and now it's time to turn that pain into your power. All those moments of failure, all those heartbreaks, all the rejections, they are the fuel that will propel you to the next level. Your pain doesn't define you, it shapes you. It's the foundation of your triumph. You've survived every single setback, every obstacle, and every battle that was thrown your way. And now, it's time to use that resilience to rise higher than you ever imagined. But here's the thing, rising isn't easy. It's not a walk in the park, it's not a smooth road without bumps. There will be obstacles, there will be doubt, there will be fear. But the difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't the obstacles. They're the ones who keep going despite them. You must keep going. You must summon the courage to face the challenges, the commitment to keep pushing forward when it gets hard, and the self-belief to know that no matter what, you will rise. Do you know what it takes to be unstoppable? It's not about never failing. It's not about never feeling fear or doubt. It's about getting back up every time you fall. It's about refusing to let anything, absolutely anything, stop you from becoming the person you know you can be. And it's about getting back to the person you know you can be. The world will try to hold you back. People will try to tell you that you're not enough, that you can't, that it's too late. But you've heard the lies before, now you know the truth. You are more than enough. You are stronger than you think, and nothing, no one will stand in your way when you decide to rise. So I'm asking you again, are you ready to step into your power? Are you ready to stop making excuses, stop waiting for things to be perfect, and start taking action? Are you ready to become the person who won't back down, who won't settle, who won't stop until they've achieved their dreams? This is your challenge, your call to action. Rise, take charge of your life, start acting as if you are the person you were always meant to be. Embrace your strength, embrace your power, embrace the possibility that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. The road ahead may not always be easy, but it will be worth it. You will stumble, you will fall, but you will rise. And when you rise, the world will take notice. When you rise, you will stand tall, unstoppable, unshakable. You will show everyone, including yourself, that you were never meant to be anything less than extraordinary. Your time has come. Your moment is now. So go. Don't wait. Start today. Take that first step. Make that decision, because once you do, there is nothing that will stop you from taking your throne. This is your time.